All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. Going to take a look at its, high intent Google searches that boudoir buyers are searching. See if it has BSS and see if we're meeting the GBC recommended minimum of hitting 3 out of 10 page one Google slots. So we're here in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And, more about that pinned post, pinned video, home video, whatever. And that's because the FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. Those that are rising are doing a good job bringing in people from the entire intent ladder here, from the left high intent all the way to the right, the lowest intent peeps, or at least generating awareness. And the ones that are falling are, you know, missing some chunks of intent, some intent chunk somewhere, causing them to fall. So here we're focusing on BSS. We're way over on the left, the basically the intent ladder. The highest intent people list people searching social search on all the social networks or on Google for, boudoir photo shoot in their city. That's what we focus on here. Then way at the end, focus on BLCS, boudoir low click syndrome. That's the other brand, boudoir FB ad doctor, on our other profiles, where right now we're only working with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. But those are the lowest intent people, but that's the largest group in every city, the people that are not searching for boudoir photo shoot right now. So we're only talking about the two kind of extremes at the moment. All right, so BSS, boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 of Google. If we got 0 slots, we're dead. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches, which means this is who we care about. This is the bulk of the market, approximately 80% of the market. And we're invisible to them if we're not on page 1. So 0 slots, we're dead. 1 slot, we're also basically dead because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer who also has 1 slot. And then, there's 10 slots Google page 1 organic. So, if everyone's a boudoir photographer, they all got 1 slot, then basically the buyer's just going to click down through, open everyone's link, everyone's website on page 1, because we assume they won't go to page 2. And, contact everyone, price quote everyone, price shop everyone, whatever. And so 1 slot's not good either. We want to actually, our goal is to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10, because we'll actually be kicking off our competitors off page 1 a large amount, and we'll actually be standing out, most likely being the only one with 3 out of 10 links there. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Extremely common, but not normal, is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are, one, basically everyone knows about, market saturation, and one basically nobody knows about, the false belief of page 1 equality. So first we'll hit market saturation. It seems to happen kind of every week. Someone gets a new iPhone, start up their Google My Business profile, throw up their website saying they now offer boudoir photo shoots, saturating the market, more sellers for the same number of buyers. Or someone gets a new camera, then they start posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that they offer boudoir photo shoots now. So market saturation means more sellers to the same number of buyers, making it harder for every current boudoir photographer that is a seller. Now, this next one is massive, the false belief of page 1 equality. So this is, from what I've seen, the #1 killer boudoir photography businesses, because this is assuming, so the belief of page 1 equality is, which I'll show as a false belief, is we're falsely believing that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google search. And so, if you got 1 slot on page 1, cool. If the market gets saturated, you get pushed down. Now you're on page 2. Oh, that's fine. Everyone gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. That's simply how it is. This is a false belief. It's false because Google will actually give as many page 1 links as to the person who puts in the effort to acquire them. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 page one links to 9 out of 10 page one links. Literally, I own 90% of the organic search surface in 10 days. Why? Because I wanted those slots and I went and took them. I put in the effort to take them. Google gives the slots to those who put in the efforts, puts in the effort to take them. We'll see that in like 3 or 4 pictures from now, or maybe, yeah, somewhere around that number. So it's a false belief, which makes people do nothing. If they believe this, that everyone's entitled to 0, 1 slot, every boudoir photographer is entitled to 0, 1 page slots, page one slots on Google, they'll do nothing. They'll be like, oh, this is reality operating normally. Yeah, I was there, I got kicked off. Hopefully someone shuts down their website, so maybe Google will bring me back on. No, incorrect. Google wants to give these slots to those who want to put in the effort to take them. And because people go on page 2, they disappear, and eventually their business disappears too. Because again, if you're on page 2 or later, you're invisible to approximately 80% of the Google searchers. So the bulk of the market. We also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So we got our building up our universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. So, and disappearing boudoir photographer, this is the canary in the coal mine for eventually a disappearing boudoir photography business, is if we got 0, 1 slots on page 1, eventually we'll be kicked off to page 2, and then it's all downhill from there. So it's a solution. We got the solution here. BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. And we know this because we invented it. That's what we've been using. So this is exactly what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in 10 days. And it works with saturating social search, the high intent keywords, saturating those. So people search on social, they find us, the bulk, hopefully all, we're like the only ones showing up. And as a result, that flows through to Google page one search. Dominating Google page one search is the outcome, the outflow of dominating or saturating social search. So it all flows, saturating social search is like the river at the top of the mountain, the glacier at the top of the mountain that's melting, and the river at the bottom, the Amazon River, is all that work saturating page one on Google. And I know this because I've done it. Now, once true with the S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. Nice. We're no longer at 0, 1 slots on page one. We do want to hit the GBC minimum though, 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And that's because if we got 3 out of 10 slots on page one, we're definitely crushing the people that got 0 slots. We're definitely crushing the people that only got 1 slot, because they look like nothing compared to us. And it's very rare someone actually has 2 slots. But even in that case, we are looking greater than them because they only got 2 slots, we got 3. People subconsciously wonder, why is this photographer why does Google keep pushing them? They must be good and give them so many slots on page one. The extra bonus of using the S-cubed methodology is it kicks competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. Is the same for social search, but kind of what we're talking about on Google. It's only 10 organic slots page one. Kicks them off, and as a result, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. So approximately 80%, the bulk of the market's never going to see those competitors if they go to page 2, which means we're not being price shopped against them. We're not being, price shop, price compared, getting quotes from everyone. I mean, if we can get 5 links organic page 1 on Google, that means only 5 links left for other competitors, and we've kicked off 4 other competitors back onto page 2. So 9 competitors, we're competing against only 5 other peeps. Gets smaller the more we dominate page 1. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. Okay, people can actually see us, because hopefully we've hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So it's the goal, it's kind of the minimum, hitting 3 out of 10 links on page 1 to become visible, or confidently visible. And we care about the 3 out of 10 number because if we hit 3 out of 10, we're probably we're probably, treading water. Probably not disappearing. We're at minimum treading water, and also could possibly be most likely growing. Because remember, this is the result, the outflow of dominating social search. So anytime if we're, multiple slots page one on Google, we already got way more than that. Multiple slots page one, many more on these social networks. People search these highest intent keywords. So Google is kind of a less than filter. So this is our universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. It's fine, we got the solution now. Utilize S-cube methodology. Achieve page one visibility. Become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So now my own results using this. You can see I wanted to rank for this term BLCS boudoir. So we'll go down to the organic slots. So organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Organic slot 2, me. Organic slot 3, me. Organic slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. Dude, I did this in 10 days. Got 9 out of 10 slots, page one on Google. So I know for a fact, S-cubed methodology got results for me. And I achieved this by social search saturation, S-cubed methodology. Now into the main event here. Going to see this boudoir photography business, see how the search is looking for the local and city search. Actually, they're both in this case. See if we got BSS, yes or no. See if we're in the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots paid on Google, or let's hit it, Bellingham, Washington. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, so we do got one. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one. So we got 1 out of 10. And city's always the hardest one to rank for. So we got 1 out of 10, that's good. But we got BSS, we got boudoir search sameness. We also got, we're not hitting the GBC recommended amount of 3 out of 10 page one slots on Google. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer and you've done a local search for yourself, high intent keyword, as a buyer, saying you got BSS there, or you've done it at the city search, you may have BSS there, or you've seen for either of those, you're not meeting the GBC recommended of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And you're seeing the S-cubed methodology, finally your one way to solve that. Then you're also taking into account the false belief of page one inequality. Yeah, it's false. That Google wants to give us as many page one slots as we want to take and want to put in the effort to acquire. So S-cubed methodology is the path forward. And you understand market saturation, the two prongs, people getting new iPhones, people getting new cameras. And you like the initial benefits of S-cubed methodology, get more slots on page one, and also kicking competitors off page one, so you're on page two where you're basically never going to be price shopped against them. And you're liking all that. And with regards to market saturation, you're looking at, you've seen AI, it's going to be taking more and more people's jobs. And as that happens, you know more and more boudoir photographers are actually going to come flooding into the market. And as more and more boudoir photographers flood into the market, they're actually going to, increase the supply. And as we increase the supply of boudoir photographers, going to be, harder to compete, page one, lowering the, basically more supply, lower demand of page one. And as a result, you realize you got to kind of fortify page one against a new future big rush of boudoir photographers. So as you're doing that, well, you're seeing, okay, S-cubed methodology is the only thing available to do that as well. And so you're liking all that. And you're also understanding that when we do S-cubed methodology, we're actually kind of building um, kind of these invisible thematic keyword columns. And as we build these invisible thematic keyword columns, what's happening is they're kind of like, columns of the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, or kind of like, hub and spoke kind of spokes attached, to our business hub. And what actually happens is we're increasing the mind share of the back end, the kind of the AI mind share. And every day we successfully do, we're going to higher and higher probability that we're going to rank here in the AI overview on Google. And we're also increasing the probability that we get recommended AI search as well. So this AI overview is really you know, basically a kind of a premium placement. But AI search, dude, AI search is awesome as well because more and more people are using AI search every single day. Um, and so this kind of invisible momentum building up in the background, and you recognize, man, this will also help you build a brand approximately 8x faster. Kind of all these benefits combined, kind of we're just showing up way more on everyone um, over time. And you're recognizing that it's better to, you decided you want to be a first mover on this because if you actually hop into this with your, you know, and you exclude all your competitors from using this, because my plan is to only work with this with one boudoir photographer in a city, then what actually happens is you're building up all this initial benefits and future benefits of making massive strides, massive progress against your competitors, kind of putting a big gap between you and them. As you put a big gap between you and them, it becomes harder and harder for them to ever catch up. And conversely, if someone else, some other competitor in your city came with you first, or came with me first, um, and we're able to build a massive gap on you, get all those initial benefits, what actually happens is you'd have to rederive S-cubed methodology on your own. You would not know if you've successfully rederived it 100% correctly or not. So then you'd actually have to go and run S-cubed methodology on your own and match our output to then kind of maintain the gap between your competitor and you. And you would have to, you'd actually have to then actually exceed our output to kind of catch us and close that gap. So you decide, screw that. You'd rather be you decide you're going to be the first mover and not have to deal with kind of someone overtaking your spots. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. Hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when we do open slots for new patients in the future, yeah, shoot a DM and we'll see if you qualify to utilize our S-cubed methodology.